How's it going, super friends? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Brad, the DC Universe Geek, in case you didn't know, and today we're going to be looking at the DC Essentials Nightwing action figure. If you're new to the channel, I'd like you to know that I've actually reviewed every single DC Essentials action figure that's came out to date, except for the Harley Quinn as of this point, so feel free to go and check them out if you'd like to. They're all in a playlist on my channel. Now, the packaging for this action figure is the same as all the rest of the DC Essentials, being a gigantic window box where you can see the action figure displayed on the inside, as well as his accessories, in this case, a schema sticks. It's a simple solid color on white as the rest of them. It's very effective and I like it a lot. The top of the box has an image of Nightwing's logo, and the side of the package has an artistic image of the action figure. On the back of the packaging, you can see another image of Nightwing and the other action figures in the Wave, Batgirl, Joker, and Harley Quinn. There's also this neat little bio for the figure, and they don't always do this for the DC Essentials, so it's kinda cool. While villains may have underestimated him in the beginning, the criminal underground soon learned to fear Nightwing, aka Dick Grayson. A supreme fighter in hand-to-hand combat, the combination of his acrobatic agility and his mastery of the eskrima sticks allows him to tread into the dangerous alleys of both Gotham and Bloodhaven and escape unscathed. And what do you think? Here he is, out of the packaging. I like him so far. He does have some new sculpted detail on his gloves and on the forearms, as well as having that brand new head sculpt, but basically it's just a naked buck. But with Nightwing, as with many of the figures, I don't really care. It looks good. I mean, you don't need to sculpt any new pieces onto this figure to make it work. It really is just a simple black onesie with blue paint markings on it. There really is nothing else you really needed to do aside from his gloves, like the gauntlets that he's wearing, and that head sculpt. And basically, I think that the figure looks pretty much fantastic. Here's a closer look at the newer sculpted detail on his gauntlets here. You can see the buckles and the various bits of detailing there, as well as the knuckles for punching people in the face on the ends of his gloves there. And I do want to point out that these are schema sticks, and I'll just show you the one because they're exactly the same. They're really, really small. I mean, they're just simple, basic things, but they're definitely smaller than I would assume. Like, I remember them being just a little bit bigger than this. These are like little baby schema sticks. But the figure has a nice matte black sheen to it. I like that about these. They're not shiny. I prefer my action figures to not be shiny, and so that's a good thing. And as for that detail around his calves to symbolize the top of his boots, I mean, it's painted on nice and clean and crisp. And the same thing with his little chest logo there. I know that I complain from time to time, depending on the figure, about the paint app detail, but Nightwings are pretty clean. There's some black scuffs there, and that kind of stinks. But overall, I think that this figure looks really cool as far as the body goes. And I gotta tell you, this head sculpt really does it for me. This really makes me feel as though I'm looking at Nightwing Dick Grayson. It's probably my favorite Nightwing head sculpt to date, so that's a definite big plus for this figure. Now, even though I'm pretty sure that almost everyone who is watching this video knows what the articulation for the DC Essentials is like, I'm gonna go over it for posterity's sake like I do for every video, even though it's pretty much the same. You got the head of this figure, which is on a hinged ball peg, so there's actually a really good range of movement. That's one of the things that the DC Essentials definitely gets right. You got a rounded hinge swivel, as always, doing what rounded hinge swivels do. You got your bicep swivel 360, your double jointed elbows so he can scratch his back with his schema stick. You got your hinge swivel at the wrists, your way back as well as a head-butting ab crunch, a 360-degree tornado waist, ball jointed groins, as we know that these figures have, way up, way out, and all kinds of articulated. They got a thigh cut with full rotation, double jointed knees, and finally, ball hinged ankles that spin and pivot and go back and forth. I know it might seem kind of redundant that I did the articulation, as I always do, because this is basically just a naked buck, as always, but, you know, new viewers might not know exactly what this figure's capable of. Oh, and also, after the articulation segment, the legs did get a little bit wibbly, as usual. Overall, so far, gotta say, this is one of my favorite DC Essentials. For one, it's Nightwing, so I'm gonna be a little bit biased there. 2, this figure actually stayed a little bit tighter than some of the other ones like Flash, Reverse Flash, Black Manta once I was done fiddling with it. And now for some comparisons. Here's my Kit Bash version of the DC Icons with the head from the Batman missions. I just really like this head sculpt better. On this side we have the DC Universe Classics, and then we have the third Hush version from DC Direct, or in this case, DC Collectibles. And then we have 2 versions of the New 52 Nightwing on either side of him. The one to the left is the Greg Capullo version, and it was sent to me by super friend Chris from the Bronx, and the one on the right is the one from the DC Collectibles New 52 line. It's the gangly, long, spindly leg Nightwing. And then finally, I wanted to show him sandwiched in between the DC Essentials Shazam, Superman, and Batman to illustrate that point that a lot of collectors have been disgruntled about with this line. And that is that every single male character has the exact same original buck. There's no small, medium, and large, and buff. It really all is just one. So now that we've placed this action figure and all things about it under the discerning eye of the action figure review, how do I feel about it having come out the other side? Dude, aside from the fact that the scale for this figure, in my opinion, is really just a little bit big in comparison to Superman, and actually, really, this buck was made for Nightwing, and Superman and Batman should be the figures that are bigger, as well as Shazam. I really like this figure. I feel like it's a standout figure in the line. The paint apps are clean and crisp. The face sculpt is pretty much perfect, and there really isn't anything I don't like about it. Like, if I was selling off half of my DC Essentials and I could only pick 5 to keep, this would be amongst the I'm gonna keep it number of figures. If you're a DC Essentials collector, you're probably not going to want to miss this one. And if you're a Nightwing fan, you're absolutely going to want to pick this one up because, in my opinion, it is a 9.5 out of 10 Nightwing action figure, only docking marks for the fact that the articulation can get loose and wibbly fairly quickly with this guy, like the rest of the DC Essentials. Anyway, that's all I have to say about this figure, so that's my story and I'm sticking to it, super friends. Hopefully you found this video entertaining, enlightening, useful in some way. If you did, please take the time to bop it with a like. Leave any comments you have down in the comment section below. You know what the red subscribe button's for. If you're new here, you can click that if you want to see more of my face and hands show up in your inbox. And if you do, remember to ding the bell so that you don't miss new videos, because YouTube sucks at notifying people when new stuff comes out, and I will see you with the next one. And until then, have an awesome day and take care of each other and yourselves. Bye for now.